Hello everyone, this is Leonardo. I am one of the game designers and the artist of Nosy Little Fly from the WISHLIIIIIST Studios. Today I'd like to show you how I make a level for the Nosy Little Fly game. In Nosy Little Fly the levels are pretty irregular. As you can see, it's not the straight up and down or diagonal kinds of levels that you see in normal 2D games. It has all sorts of shapes, you know. And today I'll show you how I make that from scratch to finish. So first things first, and you can do this either on paper or digitally as well. Here it is. I'm gonna sketch my level. I did that many times before, and now I want to make a new level for the game. So I have a simple idea. It's gonna be the shape of the letter S. You're gonna start here and you're gonna finish here. In my game you collect stars, so I want to put a star here and one other star here, but with a caveat. There will be a little diagonal barrier here that will make it a little more risky for the player to get the star, because in my game the player will lose a life whenever he or she touches any wall. This doesn't have to be a beautiful rough, just one sketch. You gotta plan out how the level will turn out, but I believe that iterative level design is most important. This is just for you to register an idea, but when you play and test the game, you will realize if it works or not. So this little wheel will be turning here, and this will be a very simple level. Now that I have thought of how the level is going to be, what tools do I need to work with? There is one asset that is free on Unity. Let me show you. Package Manager. You open your Package Manager, you click here, Unity Registry, look out for 2D Sprite Shape. As you can see, I have it already on my project, but if you don't, you look at the bottom right corner and you import it. Once you have done that, choose any folder you want, create, right click, create sprite shape profile. Then you gotta choose whether you want it open or closed. For my project I always use closed ones. After you do that, you gotta choose what is going to be the texture on the middle of it, this one. And you also need to choose the graphics for the borders in the four corners. So for example, this one. And you can add more types of corners for each direction to make it vary a little. So I have two types of grasses, so I'm going to go crazy and use graphics that don't really match, just so that you can see how to use different assets. Now you can just, drag and drop or sprite shape into your scene, and here it is, the example sprite shape. How do you edit this thing? Oh, there is one detail left. The corners have no graphics. Okay, let's fix this. It's here on the corners tab. As you can see, my corners are quite big in comparison to the graphics, at least with the grass. Things are not matching up here, but this is because I'm doing it quickly just as an example for you. Just how you edit each property separately. Okay, now here it is. If you work with 2D layers, you can choose the sprite layers here. For me, I'm going to leave it at the walls layer. It makes sense, right? If you click it to be open-ended, you're gonna have a result like this. In some cases, you might want to do that to make an individual wall that's not a chunk of wall, just, a platform, a curvy platform or things like that. But that's not my case. Adaptive UV changes the borders. As you can see, it will either stretch or not. I prefer it not to stretch, thus I turn adaptive UV off. Optimize geometry, I'm not really sure what this does, and enable tangents is another thing that I don't know exactly what is. Corner threshold. Okay, now if you stretch too much, the corner graphics will change. Thus, the corner threshold changes the thresholds at which it disappears or not. At 90, I believe it never disappears, but the graphic can distort very much. That's why you are given this option, because if you don't want warped graphics, you can just make it disappear. The stretch UV makes the feeling graphic to be either just one image of the sprite or to tile it. In pixel per unit, you change the size of the feeling image. And world space UV makes the coordinates of the image obey the world space. You see, it's like I'm masking the Earth. If I turn this off, now it just moves as a block. This is important in case you want to make different sprite shapes obey the same tiling in your scene. And of course, by clicking the edit spline, you can just make the shape be whatever you want, and it will obey that. You see, when everything that is between this and this angle will be this graphic, and so and so. And you can change the angles. You see, now this has no angle. I can add a new graphic here for this angle if I wish, or I can close the gap. Let me close the gap. And haha, now this angle is this graphic. You are given a lot of freedom. Just to be clear, when you see this menu, I am editing the game object with the sprite shape on the scene. And when you see this menu, I am editing the sprite shape profile in the project, alright? Sometimes you want to make curves and not straight lines. Thus, the tangent mode allows you to edit that. No, this is a curve now. Aha! And you can edit the curve however you want. Ugh. Do you want it to be an uneven curve? The third option gives you that. Aha! The only problem with the third option is that the corner threshold doesn't work very well. Sometimes it does not appear. At least the way I work with very thin borders on my sprite shapes. And this is a problem. I sometimes have to manually add sprites on top of this to mask this problem, this graphical problem. Usually you have no problems with corners if you just make it the middle option, which is a normal curve. If you want to simulate straight line, you just bring it real close, and it kind of works out, kind of not. You have to choose your poison in this case. That's how you make the shapes. And of course, you want walls that collide, right? So you go to Add Components, Polygon Collider. Aha! Now you have a collision in your sprite shape. I'm not gonna tell you how to code a character to walk on uneven terrain, but now you have uneven terrain to work with. Let me do something fun here for you guys. Alright, let me 2D object, sprite, no problem. Let's add a circle collider on this big boy, and let's give him a rigid body 2D. Now let's make something fun. Alright. Just hit play and see the magic happens. Yeah! Think of all the games you can make just with features like these. But now you probably want to see things actually happening. So I've got all my game's features here. I'm gonna delete the example sprite shape I made to show you. Bye. And I'm going to actually start using the ones I already have. So I copied another level, but I'm not going to use it. And I'm going to edit this sprite shape to become this. That's my goal now. My game has a few features already coded here that are not pertinent for this tutorial because you gotta work with your own features, of course. You see, sometimes the collision does not update immediately when you delete nodes, but by clicking another node, the collision will finally update. So I want to make that shape. Let's start simple. Let's block out the shape. We don't need to make it perfect on the first go. It's best to block out and see if the spacing is right, and after that we make it look pretty. You naughty node. There is a little other caveat to working like this when you make closed walls. There may be one workaround for it, but I haven't found it out yet. And just in a minute, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to make a shape like the shape of my heart. Now, the problem I was talking about. There is no pretty way of closing up the loop of a closed wall. This is a thing particular to my game, having closed walls, enclosed levels. This may not apply to you, but it does for me. So when this happens, I don't want the player to find something like this in the level. Really does not look good at all. What do? I grab another sprite shape, I go and put it higher on the layer, and I use it to cover it up. You see? Now you don't see that. You just see this other sprite shape here. This is my current workaround for that. But there are other options. And I think I'm going with another option just now, which is to leave this open and close the gap with another game object. I'll do that in just a moment. Now that the main shape is done, I will turn on the sky. The sky is just a white square sprite painted with the color blue on the sprite renderer, and it is on a very low background sprite layer. And remember, boys and girls, to put the position of the z-axis of all your sprites on 0 if you're working like that. Sometimes we'll work on 2D games using the z-axis actually, but I am not. Sometimes when you just drag and drop a sprite in the middle of the scene, somehow Unity thinks it's adequate to put it on -200 or 2000. The Z position sometimes is crazy. Remember to put it on 0 if you're working like me. Just make the sky blue. Now I'm gonna play this sprite shape just to see if it is comfortable to move around on this. So, after checking some bugs I found out with the programmer and bringing my cat into the video, I am now able to test the level as it is right now. And I press play on Unity to see if the shape is holding up well, and I realize that I actually made a ginormous level. It's way too big. If I just reduced it with the scale tool, the actual size of the sprites will change to the size of the filling here. And I don't want that. The size of the filling and the size of the borders. I don't want that. For that reason, I have to manually edit it. Now let's test again. Yes, of course, I have to readjust the starting position for the player. Here. Okay, here we are. And the size is looking great. And my cat's blocking me in the camera. I hope you appreciate this on the video. And that's it. Almost. Because my level won't just be made of the sprite shape. I have also a rotating thingy here and a little stone here. Organization is so important, you guys. So when this is the embellishment game object, here I separated skies, rocks, you know, bushes, and I do you're gonna realize that I do mix Portuguese, which is my mother language, and English a lot in my naming of game objects and files as I work. I've been doing this since I was a child. Please don't mind that. You can totally understand this video even if there are some game objects in Portuguese here. Okay, so this is just embellishment. Okay, so if I turn this out, the level still works. It's just not as embellished. The level objects, game object in my workflow, it doesn't have to be in yours. It's just another way of organizing objects that do matter for the level design, that are not just embellishments. Okay, so this rock is gonna be here, and it's gonna make a little harder to get this star. And of course we've got this column, which is the way I am planning to close this gap. So next step for me is to spread out the collectibles, because they're relevant for gameplay as well. So the first star is here. It is quite close to the wall. The second star is on this quirky thing here that I'm gonna edit in a moment. And the final star is hiding here on this rock. What I think I'll do now is I'm going to create the spinning thingy here. Okay, now I made this new one. Why am I making a new one? Because I want this to be different. The filling is going to be the same, but horizontal something. Okay. Okay, for the corners, I haven't made a sprite for a corner with this aesthetic yet, but I am not actually gonna worry about it right now, because I'm just gonna use curves, you see? And it's a circle, yay! Now this is going to be the thing that spins here. The programmer created one script that is the rotator. Just add the speed, I don't know, I'm going to put 100, and the game object will rotate around its axis. Now I want the star to rotate with it, so I'm going to put it on the collectibles place. So this star is going to be here. And I'm also going to add the code fixed rotation so that the star won't turn around with this, go crazy. Okay, sounds nice, sounds nice. So it's spinning. Yay! The star appears. Yeah, I got the star. Now this star is here. I think what I feel playing, and level design is a very iterative process, is that the third star is way too easy compared to what I wanted, and the first one is harder than I wanted. I think this is quite reasonable, and yeah, I think this is hard enough. The level exit. Put it here. Coins to spread out. So basically I'm just spreading around the collectibles. This is also a very important part of the level design. Be easier like that. Subtle things like that will guide the player through the secrets of the levels. And it's not hand holding, it's subtle things. So that each discovery will feel like the players actually. You're gonna give them hints and they're going to solve them. Now, everything regarding gameplay is done in the level. It works fine, it is balanced, well, at least for me, until we get actual players to play it, it is balanced for now. I could stop here and give this to another artist. I want to show you quickly what goes into making the levels actually look more appealing, and it's gonna be real quick, that's not the focus of the video. Now, how do I make the level more appealing visually? To the embellishment game object. So I have a lot of objects here. The sky object, and I've got some extra stones, and basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy and rearrange these objects until the level looks good.
A few moments later.
So after spending some time with it, I finally finished making the level look good to navigate on. As you can see, it is much more lively than the just crude way it was before, with the bushes, the columns, the clouds, the signs pointing to where you should go. It's all better now. And when I toggle it to be at the hard difficulty, it will be nighttime and there will be a ghost chasing me. Of course, Unity takes its time, of course. Okay, alright. Here is the ghost. Oh no. Alright. You see, it's nighttime now. So what I did when I cut the video was basically reallocate a bunch of game objects with a Sprite component on them. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and all those things YouTubers always ask their audiences. And most importantly, if you think my game looks nice, why don't you wishlist it on Steam right now? The game is named Nosy Little Fly. Look it up on Steam. When you type nosy, it's the only thing that comes up so far, last time I checked. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye bye.